Hey everyone! So, did you like that flood of content I suddenly spewed at you guys? Yeah, don't get used to it. See, I got lucky and I got a day off work, then I worked, then 2 days off work, then I worked, then a day off work, then I worked, then 2 days off work, then I went back to work for a really long time. So I had a few days off and I decided to really take advantage of them because due to the fact that I actually have a job now, I really haven't been able to update my things. So I was like, I really need to make up for lost time and update the crap out of just everything. And so I sort of went hog wild with it, which I do find funny that in 6 days off, I produced more content than in, like, a year of not having a job. I am a sad, sad little man. Anyway, though, I really like my idea of Gel's Game Archive. I'm having fun with it, and I'm probably going to churn those out a lot more frequently. I hope you're enjoying it. But I was looking at what the next game on my list was, and I was like, oh yeah, Gundam Battle Assault 2. You mean a third fighting game? And, well, I was, showing off Battle Assault 3 in the Godanner review episode thing. So it makes sense. Oh, hey, I kind of want to show off Macross 30. Hey, giant robots again. Ooh, I didn't talk about Chaos Code. You mean another fighting game? What about Arcana Heart 3? You mean a fighting game? Hey, how about that intro? Look at all the fighting games you did. Wow, I see that with one track mind. I keep doing and talking about fighting games. Which I decided it was time to sit there and talk about why do I like fighting games. Because in case you couldn't tell, I'm not a competitive fighting gamer. I tried, I looked into it, I hung out on fighting game message boards, I realized half the fighting game community is assholes. Look, the way I see it, in the fighting game community, there are kind of two types of people. Those who view their fellow fighting gamers as their fellow fighting gamers, friends who enjoy the same hobby that they do, and want to help them out and hang out with them and talk shop with them. These would be people like Maximilian and stuff, people who make tutorial videos and really help one another. And then there are the people who view their fellow fighting gamers as their rivals, as their enemies. They don't want to talk about their combos. They don't want to talk about mechanics. Learn it yourself, you lazy ass. Ugh. And those people could go fuck themselves. There's way too many of them in the fighting game community, and I hate them. But in spite of the fact that I could punch half the fighting game community in the face if my fists were a functional punching object, there's the fact that I still love fighting games. I still really enjoy them. And my love of fighting games, I could say, goes back to Street Fighter 1. I have a serious attachment to that, and that's the reason why I don't really talk about Street Fighter much on this show. My opinion on that series is straight out bizarro land. Seriously, okay. Remember when Street Fighter 3 first came out and everyone was complaining about the new characters and lack of returning characters? Yeah. Imagine if someone felt that way about Street Fighter 2. Yeah, let that sink in. Think about that. That's me. My opinion on Street Fighter, I like the series, but my opinion on it is bizarre. If you can imagine someone being a Street Fighter fan but not liking Street Fighter 2 because of the dumb characters. Yeah, mind-shattering in many ways, and I understand that. It's a... Maybe we'll talk about it later. But anyway, so I was thinking about, why do I like fighting games? Why do I enjoy them so much? Well, a large part of it, I get this also applied to Street Fighter 1, is the cast of characters. See, I usually, 9 times out of 10, hate the main character. I find them boring, I find them uninteresting, I can't really relate to them. Even if I can relate to them, I don't think they're a particularly interesting character. I'd rather play as something crazy, a ninja or a monster, or a schoolgirl, something other than boring-ass Karate Man. And that's one of the things I like about fighting games. They tend to have large rosters of incredibly varied characters. This is a huge selling point to me. It's the reason why I stick with the Dynasty Warriors series. It's the reason I was interested in Skylanders. You produce a game with a huge cast of crazy characters, I'll find one I can latch onto and I'll like your game. And in fighting games, it is rather character-centric. Each character, there's a lot to them, there's a lot to using them, and so you get really attached to them, and it's their bizarre story that you're following. They're your avatar in the arena. They have a unique fighting style that you're trying to learn. You really latch on to that one character. If you only like one single character in a fighting game, you can enjoy that fighting game because of that one crazy character you love. So that's a big thing to me. The other part of it, I guess this sounds kind of crazy, but the purity. Hear me out on this one. I've been trying to hide it, but let's face it, I'm really disappointed in a lot of modern video games. A lot of them are sort of mishmashing genres together. So I'll be playing an action game, and then it's like, oh hey, it's puzzle time. Oh hey, here's a stealth segment. Woo, big lengthy cutscenes that we're gonna have to watch. Look at all this micromanaging and crap. Fighting games don't have that. Fighting games basically can't have that while still being a good fighting game. Even if they do put in a mode with crazy other game elements, it's a bonus thing because the versus, the fighting, the arcade mode, that's the focus. That is the main part of the game. So fighting games are basically just a combat engine. Just fighting. Just that, a bunch of characters to put in there. So they're more focused. It's all about taking the combat engine and making it super deep and complex and balanced and doing things with it and focusing on making the fighting work and making each character have as big a move list with as varied a move set as possible while still trying to keep them of approximately the same strength, which is the other thing that sort of makes it more fun than action games at times, because there's a lot of cannon fodder enemies you're chopping up, and you're like, why don't these enemies fight back? But if they did, it'd be completely broken and unbalanced because you're horribly outmatched, so you're trying to balance it out. No, in fighting games, it's one-on-one, you versus an opponent of approximately equal strength, go. I love that. I love that purity. At the same time, they're so quick to play. You don't have to devote all this time to learning to going through the tutorial and watching the intro and getting to the good part. You don't have to wait 10 hours for the game to get good. You don't have to wait until they unlock mechanics. You can, theoretically, just choose arcade mode, pick a character, go in there, start fighting, have fun, quit. Obviously, if you want to play it competitively, if you want to play it seriously, you're going to have to learn the game. There's more to it. So you can spend more time with it. But much of the time, it's just throw yourself into the game, have a blast, beating things up, good times to be had instantaneously. And I love that. But there's another reason why I choose to focus on fighting games. Another strange reason. When you really think about it, fighting games are kind of a popularity contest. You see, either a fighter makes it big and gets a following, and there's a bunch of people who play it, or it completely slips under the radar and no one talks about it. This is because, as many hardcore fighting gamers will tell you, fighting games are best played competitively against other people. So if no one else is playing it, that means no other people are playing it. That means you don't have anyone to fight against. So what's the point in spending the hours upon hours of learning the deeper nuances of the complex fighting system if you don't have anyone to test those skills against, if you don't have anyone to fight? And that's always been one of the curses of fighting games, one of the things that's really driven me insane, because I love a lot of the fighters that don't become popular. And I think it's a shame, because I'll play them and I'll go, why isn't this popular? What makes Marvel vs. Capcom 2 better than this? What makes Soul Calibur 2 better than this? Why are these games popular and these ones aren't? And a lot of it is luck of the draw, getting there first. A lot of little minor things where you can look at a fighting game that completely slipped under the radar, that no one plays, that you can go, no, that's still a good fighter. There is no reason this couldn't be played competitively other than people just don't. And so, yeah, there's a lot that slips under the radar, and I feel really bad about that because, no, I I don't mind playing fighting games single player and just punching the computer a bit. I enjoy it to a degree. It's better with people most of the time. Like, I can only think of really 2 fighting games I would call single player fighting games. That'd be Evil Zone and Techromancer. But yeah, most of the time it's better with people, but I can still have fun against the computer. Again, any hardcore fighting gamer will tell you that's a bad idea because the AI is stupid, and you'll get into bad habits because you'll be doing things that fool the AI but wouldn't really fool a human opponent, which is why they refuse to play single player, because it will ruin their skills forever because they'll start all these bad habits and, oh, it's super terrible. And I am so glad I don't care about that. So yeah, that's sort of the thing. So there's a lot of reasons why I love fighting games, just as a genre in general, and a lot of them slip under the radar, and I go, yo, guys, you probably never heard of this one, but it's really good, and sometimes it's a really obscure thing you'll never find, other times it's something in the bargain bin. I like to remind you, Battle Fantasia is currently $3 at GameStop on 360. Very good example. I should talk about Battle Fantasia sometime. That's an interesting game. So, yeah, that's a lot of why I love fighting games, why I focus on them, why they're one of my favorite genres, and why you're probably going to see a lot of them here, and as well, why you're not going to get a lot of super intelligent commentary on them. I'm sorry. I try my best, but again, I'm not a hardcore fighting gamer. I'm hardcore fighting gamer adjacent. That's the term. I've hung around the community. I have friends who are hardcore fighting gamers, but I tried once, and I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna play my fighting games and have fun. Oh, that does bring up one last thing I forgot that I'm really grateful for is online play, because that's something someone's gonna bring up, and indeed, online play really fixes a lot of the problems with fighting games falling into obscurity and people being unable to find opponents in these games because they could just go online and find them. I mean, rest assured, Arcana Heart 3, like, it would be even less played if it didn't have fantastic netcode and some kind of cult internet following. I can tell, looking at the replays, that yes, people are still playing Arcana Heart 3 even today. Same thing with DOA 5. I mean, fuck, I couldn't pay my friends to play DOA 5 against me, but I can go online, I can find all sorts of people to hang out with and play DOA 5 with. That. So that helps, but even then, sometimes you have these fighting games that don't have netcode, or the netcode isn't very good, and then, again, they fall quickly into obscurity, and I do think that's a bit of a shame. Anyway, there you go. This is Gel. Hope you've enjoyed this Metable, and that's... well, people, that's why I really like me some fighting games. Anyway, see y'all later.